a special event today. We have the grand opening of the first Supercharger in Alaska, and that's down in Soldotna. We're up in Palmer, and everyone from the Valley and Anchorage are heading down in a big group to go and attend the grand opening of the Supercharger. I have never supercharged my car. I have it charged up to 100% right now. We're gonna head on down there today. We should get some nice photos of long lines of lots of Teslas. And Teslas are really growing in Alaska. The Ranger service advisor told me that there's supposed to be 60 that are shipped up this spring, probably Model 3s and Model Ys. So lots and lots of Teslas in Alaska, and we're getting our first Supercharger, and we're gonna have more in the years to come. So come along for the ride. Quite a trip for us today. It's about 3.5 hours drive down to Soldotna. It's not that far away as the crow flies, but the roads wind up and around through the mountains. So it should be an interesting test of range and so on. It's about 189 miles, so we use a little bit over half of my charge. And fortunately we have a Supercharger down there now, so we can charge before we come back and hopefully do it in a timely manner. Since we're having a big procession of Teslas going down there, we're probably gonna have the first lineup at a Supercharger ever in Alaska. Seems like kind of a momentous day because we're getting our first Supercharger, and Alaska is kind of one of the last places to really adopt, I think, EVs in mass numbers. A lot of people here have rarely seen an EV, and a lot of the red state opinions abound against EVs, even sometimes openly hostile against EVs. But it's probably going to take a little while for EVs to catch on here. We are growing a lot, but there's a ways to go in the minds and hearts of the people. So we're just coming down here onto the Kenai Peninsula, and got the autopilot on. We're going to do navigate and charging. Click on the charging, and Soldotna is the closest one available and the only one available. So we will hit go, and the car will take us to Soldotna, to the Supercharger. Looks like it's 2 hours and 28 minutes away from here, 134 miles, and we'll be there at 11:53 a.m. So this is turning an arm. It's an arm of Cook Inlet that comes in from the ocean here next to Anchorage. And it's gonna be heavy traffic all the way. There's a lot of folks that like to go down to the Kenai Peninsula to enjoy some outdoor recreational activities and so on, including what we're doing today. But it's just gorgeous with the ocean inlet, which is just on the other side of the tracks here. And this over here is called Potter's Marsh, and it's a wetland that was created when they put the railroad in here, I think back 60 years ago or so. And it's become a breeding spot for a lot of birds and so on. And there's kind of an artificial wetland there that's now an important part of our local ecosystem. You can see the railroad tracks are extending all along the side here, and they have piles of railroad ties that they're getting ready to install for track maintenance. And we're just going to follow the water here all the way down around, turning an arm, then up over the mountains onto the Kenai Peninsula, which is actually right over there. That you can see that right on the map here. There's turning an arm, and this is Cook Inlet, and that's Kinnick Arm, and we're following turning an arm all the way down here around, and then this down here is the Kenai Peninsula. So that's where Soldotna's at. Looks like when we arrive, we'll have 9% charge. So that's probably an estimation that is pretty conservative, because the watt hours that I've been doing on the high speed on the freeway, and also there's a lot of mountains that we're going to be going up and over, so it might be taking that into account for a little bit less range. See the view out here of turning an arm and looking out there towards Cook Inlet, and then you can kind of compare that to the map here as far as where we're at. And then a winding path ahead. We'll see how the autopilot does on this road. Usually it does really quite well. Fortunately, we have to follow a Ram pickup at this point. I expect we're gonna meet up with all the other Teslas up here. I was a little bit late getting down here from the valley, and I expect they're all gonna be parked up here at one of the viewpoints for pictures. So hopefully catch up with them then. So I haven't gone over these mountain passes in this car before, but it's interesting. We have some pretty steep hills, and most cars are shifting down, and there's definitely the sensation of the car working. In the Tesla, there's so much power, there's just no sensation at all the car is struggling with the steep passes. But you can see on the display here of energy usage, you can actually see the train that I've been going over, because I go up steep hills, and then you see the watt hours increase, and then when it levels out, the watt hours decreases as well. We're now at about 19% estimate for our charge when we get to Soldotna, and that changes depending on how the trip changes as far as watt hours per mile. Of course, with these steep passes, when we come down the other side, we'll be regenerating much of that power that we consume coming up, which of course you cannot do in a gas car. So pretty fun driving through the mountains on the Tesla. You can see we still have some snow here beside the road. Hopefully there won't be any on the road itself. I have the summer tires on, which I changed over last weekend, and I'm glad I did that because I have the Aero wheel covers on, and that's going to help me with my range. Run the video a little more here because I thought you might like a view of the pass up here. This is pretty similar to how it looks in winter, and in fact it's still winter up here. It's 38 degrees, as we can see right here on the screen, and we're at 53% charge. The driving in this car, I've had this car for 4 years now, and I have to say the driving is better than in any other kind of car that I've been in. It's a better driving experience. And I know some folks are still hesitant to embrace electric vehicles, but you know, the range really isn't an issue, even in Alaska, where our superchargers are over 100 miles apart. Really, range is not an issue, and you can get out and explore and do pretty much everything else you can do in an ICE vehicle, especially in the lower 48 where there's superchargers everywhere. And you know, when they switch from steam engines to diesel on the locomotives, a lot of people became nostalgic for the old locomotives, and yeah, I like riding on a steam engine train. That is pretty fun and nostalgic. But you know, the diesel electric locomotives are better. They have a better drive system, and they're much cheaper to operate. And that's really what it's going to come down to, is these cars have a much better drive system, and they're a lot cheaper to operate. So why not have an electric vehicle? Even if you don't care about the environment, or you don't care about climate change, if you don't care about American energy independence, not having to import oil from places like Russia and the Middle East, if all you care about is cost and driving experience, absolutely get a Tesla. Tesla right now has at least 75% of the EV market share in the United States. Ford and some other makers are trying to catch up. Volkswagen, Hyundai. Last report I saw, Tesla was slightly over 75% of the US market share for electric vehicles. Hyundai is at about 9%, and then Ford and Volkswagen are around 4% as far as I understand. Ford might be a little lower than that. They do have the Mach-E, and they have the new F-150 that they've made about 2,000 of those now. And I actually haven't ordered it on the F-150. I did it a long time ago because I really wasn't sure where the Cybertruck was going to be as far as when it would actually be coming out. So all the electrics are coming, and you should get a chance to get one either from Tesla or at a local dealership near you. So there's a Tesla in front of me now, so we finally caught up with the convoy that's heading down to Soldotna. This one looks like it might be a straggler. I don't see a big line ahead of it, but we'll be seeing a bit more of the Teslas along the road here. Just coming into Soldotna, and looks like we have about 51 miles of range left, and the Soldotna Supercharger is 1.4 miles ahead. We're going to have 17% battery life left when we get there. So that's how it all worked out with the 40-degree temperatures and going over the mountain passes. And we're definitely going to want to give a good supercharge here before we head back for home. About an hour before getting to the supercharger, it started to say that it's preconditioning the battery for charging. So I assume that since the weather's cold, it's using that time to warm up the battery so that it's ready to supercharge. Supercharger. This is probably old news to all of you guys who've been to many other around the country, but first time for us down here. So it feels a little out of the way, but here's the Soldotna Supercharger. And there's all the people charging. Looks like we're gonna have to wait in line. Here's all the Teslas lined up. Some of them got a little dirty on the ride. So since all the supercharger stalls are full, we're hooked up over here. These Tesla wall chargers predated the supercharger. They've had that down here for I think a year or two now. But this is pretty sweet here, the Tesla vehicle charging only. And these, I think Gen 1 wall chargers with a 20-foot cable. And looks like it's going to be about 6 hours for a full charge with that type of charger because I'm almost fully depleted, and we're going to try to charge to 100% before we leave. Got a Mach-E that's come in there. We'll go check out these supercharger stalls. Nice to see all these Model Ys coming in. There's a Model S. So we got 4 units here. Looks like they're singles only. So 4 cars can charge at once. So here is the Tesla Plaid. What a sleeper, a sedan. Faster than a Bugatti Veyron. Unbelievable.
I've got the dirtiest Tesla, sorry.
Those are some Watch out. Watch out. It's like what I was using yesterday in the operating room. All right. And 3, 2, 1. We can't use.
So here's the group from a different vantage. This lady down here is doing a podcast, and everybody's kind of standing around here talking. We got a state senator here, and the gentleman right there who we were hearing from earlier that owns this Whistle Stop restaurant location. And from what he said, Tesla basically did all this. They asked if he was interested, and he provided the parking spots, and Tesla came in and built all this. So we have 4 single pole chargers there, and here's some Tesla power equipment. So this is a Tesla electric vehicle charging controller. It's an actual charger, and it looks like it's 640 amps at 800 to 1,000 volts. So it's 575,000 watts of power for this. And I know this is Homer Electric supplying the power, and they have hydropower coming out of the mountains, and a Tesla utility-sized battery that was put in, I believe, last year to balance the grid. So hopefully we're all charging on hydropower here. So it says high usage supercharger station, charging limit set to 80%. Here are the fans coming on. This is pretty cool because I didn't even set anything up. It's just automatically through the app. The charger in Tesla knows my car, and they've started charging me for the current session without me even knowing, without me doing anything rather. So it looks like we have 96 miles. I've been charging over at that destination charger, which is the Tesla wall charger. And now we have currently 98 miles and 85 cents. So you see the money going up there. And it's going to limit me to 80% since there's a lot of people here. From 112 miles up to 80%. We're doing 131,000 watts, 516 miles per hour. And we're already taking on 22 miles since I sat here. Pretty awesome. And here's the unit. You can hear the fans running. That's pretty neat. First in Alaska Tesla Supercharger station dedicated to Derek Leaklater. He passed away, sadly, right before this was installed. So a big thank you to not only Legacy Electric, but also Tesla for making this all happen and taking care of us Tesla owners here in Alaska. So I got the one wheel out, and we're gonna have to do the one wheel flyby here. We're going 70 miles an hour. Autopilot is just doing a great job. This is all autopilot right here. I think driving faster than most humans are comfortable with the visibility and the conditions.
You could make, you chose to spend your